Hi, I'm Rebecca Pan. I'm the host of Badass Women in Climate, a podcast highlighting just incredible women that are supporting the environment and helping keep our world safe. And I am thrilled to have one of my heroines of climate, and actually the woman who inspired this podcast, Dalya Massachi. She is the host of Everyday Climate Champions, and it's very inspiring. It's all about everyday people that are contributing to climate resilience. And I'm going to read her little intro because I can't remember it all. She is the executive producer, and editor of the Everyday Climate Champions podcast, highlighting local residents from many walks of life who are taking climate action in their own communities. She is a writer, an editor, a journalist, and trainer focused on accelerating the just transition to a climate-safe world that works for everyone. In 2021, she trained as a climate leader with the Climate Reality Project, which was inspired by Al Gore, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I want to dig into that more later. I think that's very exciting. She was a fellow in the 2024 climate cohort of the Solutions Journalism Network. She's an experienced community organizer, and she holds an MA in Communication and International Development. Welcome, Dalya.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm honored to be here, and I was not aware that I was one of your heroines.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. We're just having a chat. We're just chilling. But no, when I met you, or a mutual friend connected us. Who connected us?
I'm not even sure.
I gotta go look in my old email. But I remember somebody telling me about you and that you had a climate podcast. And then I got to, I was on television, I was being interviewed, and I came back and I was like, that was so much fun. I loved that. And Marcela, who is my producer, she said, well, you could have a podcast. I was like, I'm just like a regular person. I don't know how to do that. But then when Everyday Climate Champions, and I started listening to all of your episodes and was like, everyone can be a climate person. And
yes,
maybe I could have my own podcast. And Marcella's an amazing producer and helps me put it out into the world. So, I don't remember who it was that originally introduced us. We'll find them and thank them.
Yes, definitely. That's so exciting. That, I mean, you're the first person who has told me that our podcast has inspired other podcasts on the urgent climate crisis. So, thank you.
You're training the trainers.
Yeah.
And so tell me about Everyday Climate Champions, the podcast, and how you kind of got into it. Have you met Al Gore? I'm curious about the whole origin.
Okay, let me get a glass of water first because this is going to be a long story.
Okay.
Well, all right. So the genesis was I come from a journalism background, and in 2020,
I remember that year.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, right? We had the pandemic, we had the new racial reckoning in the streets, we had all kinds of climate disruptions here in the San Francisco Bay Area, drought, fire, etc.
Yep.
All of these things came together for me, and I had a long history of being a social justice activist and communicator. That's kind of my background, and fundraiser. And I realized that all of these issues that I was interested in and passionate about all were connected to the climate crisis. And I kind of had a eureka moment, and I was like, that's going to be where I focus my energies. So I started, changing everything in my business. I was already kind of on the climate train personally, but not professionally. So I started moving in that direction. I found out about the Climate Reality Project, which was started by Al Gore in around the time of An Inconvenient Truth, his film that came out in the mid-2000s.
Okay.
And I learned that the Climate Reality Project offers free training to anyone who wants to become a climate leader. So
amazing.
I was like, whoa, that's what I need. So I had around 2020, I had started my own, what I call personal graduate school, which is not official, but it was basically a crash course.
Yeah.
I was just doing all kinds of reading and listening and watching stuff and whatever. So toward the end of that period for me, I connected with the Climate Reality Project training. I waited for months for it to start. And it was online because it was during the pandemic, right? So I couldn't get to meet Al Gore in person. I had to do it online. So I met him online.
All right.
As part of thousands of people in this online course. And after that training, I was an official climate leader with the Climate Reality Project, and I joined the Bay Area chapter, Climate Reality Bay Area. They had a communications team, so I joined that, of course, because that was my background. And I proposed to them in September of 21, would you be interested in a podcast? Because I had thought about it and I wanted to do a podcast. I was looking for a place to start it.
Yeah.
And they said yes. So I was like, awesome. Let's do it. So they helped me recruit a team. Originally it was a team of climate reality folks, but it has grown beyond that now. So I developed the podcast through Climate Reality Project as they were kind of an incubator for us. And we met for the first time in March of 2022. And 6 months later, six months of hard labor later, we actually produced our first episode in September of 22. So
that's awesome.
And it was amazing. I looked back at my calendar. The exact day, September 21st, was the day that I proposed it to the team in 21, and our first episode came out the exact same day in 22.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so this is a sign that we're on the right track.
We have so many parallels. I also got into climate in 2020, and it was during the wildfires in September when my San Francisco home fire alarm went off because of the smoke.
Wow.
And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and woke up my son, who sleeps like a log, and woke up my husband, who also sleeps like a log. And that was, for me, it was like a literal and figurative wake-up call.
Yeah.
That climate change is in my house. I need to do something about it. I can't just keep my head in the sand and just have eco-anxiety and not do anything.
Right, exactly.
So I totally hear that. And after that, dedicated Trellis, I'm kind of the Ikigai framework of what are you good at? What do you like to do? What can you get paid for? And what does the world need? Dedicated Trellis to being a home base for climate resilience. and recently launched Earth Scale Ventures, which is another startup that is focused on supporting climate, basically scaling climate solutions to Earth scale, hence the name. And we launched this podcast, and we're getting LEED certified. So we're like, I feel like we're, and what you were saying about how all of the things that are wrong in the world are connected, and through that climate lens, I was just reading that 80% of the people impacted by climate change already are women.
Yeah.
And it's just one more barrier. So that's so cool. We have some parallels.
Yeah, that's interesting. Was that the day that the alarm went off in your home? Was that the day when we had orange skies?
No, it was about a week later, I think. Maybe 2 weeks later.
So around the same time.
Yeah. That orange sky day was crazy, but it actually wasn't, the AQI wasn't horrible that day because it was all so high.
Yeah.
Which is why it turned orange.
Yeah.
That was such a crazy day.
Yeah, I think that day was a wake-up call for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether they acted on it or not, I think it was at least a subconscious thing, like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it happened on the East Coast, too. Friends of ours in New York and New Jersey had an orange sky day. And it was a similar, like, well, shit.
Now what? Yeah.
What do we do? So your journey to climate is a similar length. We're in 2025 now.
Yeah.
So 5 years old-ish. I also did like a crash course in how do I get involved and how do I learn and what is Project Drawdown and what are sustainable development goals and what is ESG, like what do there's so many acronyms in
unfortunately
I mean every industry has so many acronyms, and sometimes they overlap and you're like, what does that mean? And you find it for like a different industry. Like I don't think that's what I'm looking for. So I totally hear that. Was there like a defining moment, or it was just kind of that coalescing of all of those things in 2020?
Yeah, it was kind of a gradual thing. It wasn't one day. It was more like that whole year was a turning point year. It was also the beginning of what the UN calls the decisive decade.
Yeah.
The 2020s. So that was also part of like my, I guess, the gestalt of what was going on for me. And all of it came together like, wow, this is the time this is our last chance, basically.
Yeah.
To avoid the worst effects of the climate crisis. It is right now.
Yeah.
So this, it's now or never, basically.
Yeah. I was, my perspective is that we are cockroaches, and there will be humans that survive, but what we do in these next 5 years is so paramount, and there's so much chaos in the world and politically, and we don't have to get into that,
but chaos is also a time of opportunity.
Yeah.
And I choose to look at it that way. Chaos and crisis, and perhaps it is, let's hope. I mean, I hope that this is the end of the old era.
Yep.
And the beginning of the new, and we're in a liminal space. It's going to be crazy. And things are going to get broken. And unfortunately, that also means that everyone is going to be personally affected in a negative way right now. But over time, like in the next, hopefully 5 to 10 years, as that liminal space moves into the new way of life, that will, things will be alleviated and will come out on the other end in a really great place.
That is my hope and my plan, and what I think we're all working towards in these efforts. Are you familiar with Lynn Twist and her she talks about that we've been in this masculine dominated the last 100 years, I think, and she frames it as having one wing that is really muscular and built up, and it's the masculine wing, and it's so much more built up than the feminine wing.
Yeah.
Feminine wing has been kind of pulled in and disenfranchised and unempowered.
Yeah.
And when you have one wing, that imbalance, you just spin in circles, and you're just going crazy. And she feels that now is the Sophia century, which is the century of woman. And now our wing will fully unfurl, and we will attain balance, and then sky's the limit.
Yeah. Wow. I knew about Lynn Twist, but I hadn't heard that vision. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
And you need for us to fly, we need two wings.
And we need balance.
Yeah. Balance and two wings. And that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think so.
It started, decades and over a century ago, with women starting to rise and starting to kind of stir. Eventually getting the vote in the U.S. anyway, and other countries eventually too. And yeah, we're moving forward. We can't be stopped. There are attempts to stop us, but that's not going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. So tell me more about the Climate Reality organization. Because I didn't, before I was introduced to you, I didn't know about the Climate Reality Project.
Climate Reality, yeah. So Al Gore was the founder, and he's still involved. It is now global. There are chapters around the world. The largest chapter in the U.S. happens to be here in the SF Bay Area. They do a lot of training, which is how I got connected to it, to help people actually see themselves become active in the climate movement, and then help others do the same. They also focus on advocacy in terms of kind of a whole slew of different levels and different types of advocacy around different climate actions. So they started, Al Gore's movie, An Inconvenient Truth, and that all of the, journalism, all of the media coverage at that time was about, hey, scientists are telling us, we have a problem here. So over time, that has evolved. More and more people have become clued into that, and more people are part of the Climate Reality Project. And now the Climate Reality Project, although it still talks, about the climate crisis, it also has this large component about, now what do we do? What are some climate solutions? How can we implement them? How can we advocate for them?
I wonder if something that I've been kind of looking for, and I haven't quite found it is there's so many incredible things happening all around the world, and different areas that are leading in different initiatives or policy or decarbonization or green building. And I wonder if you know of, or maybe it's something that Climate Reality would be interested in pursuing, is like, how does everybody find each other? How do we not duplicate effort and thought share and support everybody who's fighting this fight? Do you know the closest that I've found? Maya Lin, the architect who did the Vietnam Memorial, she has a website that is that has kind of highlights around the world of projects and case studies. And then I've also found C40. Do you know C40?
The 40 cities in the world that are leading on climate change.
That have all like pledged to, of which San Francisco is one.
Yes,
I'm happy to say. They have a knowledge base that's the most comprehensive thing I've found so far. But do you know of any resources like that?
Are you talking about specifically about knowledge or about climate actions that people are taking?
I want, ideally, to have like a visual representation of the globe and be able to sort, like filter by where are all the nature-based solutions and organizations and groups that are focusing on nature-based solutions all around the world, and be able to search by like what governments are, like those 40 cities have policy that is climate action, like that has their climate action plan, and where are the countries or the municipalities or the cities that are furthest along in green building. You know, like I just learned that you can make concrete without emitting carbon.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge, it's what, 12% or something? It's a significant amount of global emissions. And it's not hard to make concrete that does not emit carbon. But it's just not, that's not how most concrete is made at the moment.
Right now, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there are consortium places like that for specific issues. So if you're interested in, for example, nature-based solutions, then you would be able to find some resources specifically, documenting those. But I would have to also say that there are lots of initiatives that no one knows about. Lots of, especially local ones around the world, even in the Bay Area. And that's what we focus on our podcast.
Yeah.
So those tend not to be documented or well known. And that is one of the problems, I think, that they're not accessible to people who want to become involved in them, or they want to replicate them, or they want to scale them. They're just not, it's not easy to find them. So that's part of what we're trying to do here in the Bay Area. We're piloting here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So we focus on the local solutions that are being implemented by our everyday people, our
Yeah.
neighbors, right? And not the recognized experts, talking heads, but actual people.
Yeah.
People on our block, in our city, you know, across the bay, who are implementing them. And then people, our listeners, actually we have listeners all over the world, but our listeners can say, hey, wait a second, that's something that I could do in my own school, in my own you know, church, in my own neighborhood. So in terms of like a catalog of them, I think it's going to be really hard to find because there are so many that are just not, that are popping up all the time and they're not documented.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of the innovations are like the concrete, people want to patent it and protect it as opposed to open source everything. Even though I do feel like the climate community is much more open source and
very collaborative
and just some of like the most open-hearted people I've ever met, which is a bonus of getting into this work.
Totally. Yeah. I think the reason for that is we all realize how urgent it is, and we're not about competition for the most part. We're about, wait a second, we have to work together and all hands on deck. You know, we can't play around with this anymore.
Right.
We have to build off each other, come together, work together. What are your strengths? What are your strengths? Let's work together.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that Everyday Climate Champions does, I mean, you've had kids on the podcast.
All ages. We've had an elderly grandmother, I don't know her age, but I would imagine 70s or 80s. And everyone in between. Yeah. Our youngest was a 4th grader.
Yeah, I remember I've listened to, I don't know if I've listened to every episode, but I've listened to at least 15 episodes, and they're just great.
Thank you. Yeah, we are very excited about it. The team and we average about 6 to 8 people on our team, and we just released episode 23.
Awesome.
So yeah, we're moving forward. We feel like we have production kind of down. We have what's often talked about as a minimum what is that?
MVP.
Yeah, minimum verified project or
minimally viable
project. Yeah.
Project or prototype.
Yes.
Or product.
Thank you. Product. That's the word I was looking for. A minimally viable product. Yes. So we have that. We've piloted with that, and now we're really interested in bumping it up to move on to the outreach and promotion part of it.
Oh, that's great.
So that's where we are.
Well, you have listeners all over the world. That's exciting.
Yes. I just looked at the statistics. We're in 42 countries.
Wow.
We have listeners. 91% of them are in the U.S., but we have people everywhere. And, you know, so that's exciting. Although our focus is here in the Bay Area, we're by, for, and about Bay Area people. People in other places are interested, which is great. And that's our goal, is to, as I said, we're piloting here in the Bay Area, but eventually we want to spawn and collaborate with Everyday Climate Champions teams in other parts of the country. I've already
didn't you did an episode that was, they're almost all here, but one was here and in Detroit, right?
Yes, that was our first attempt at doing a collaborative one. So we collaborated with another journalism organization, and they had connections in Detroit. We obviously have connections in the BayArea, and we focused on grassroots food systems in both of those areas. So yeah, that was one of the projects related to my fellowship with the Solutions Journalism Network.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I learned the Solutions Journalism framework through that, And now we're applying it to Everyday Climate Champions.
And is that framework how you arc each episode?
Yes, to some extent. There are four parts of it. We focus on the solutions. We focus on the solutions themselves. What are some limitations that the solutions have? How can you show us effectiveness of those solutions? And what are some insights that you can share with other people on that topic? What are some lessons you've learned? So we started out just kind of focusing on like highlighting, what are the solutions, right? And that was great. That was part of what we wanted and part of where we are now. And now we're at like, okay, we're interested in solutions. We want to see how effective you are at doing what you're doing. We want to know what are some limitations that might spell how it can improve over time, right? And what can you teach other people, or what things have you noticed that what are some of your insights that can help others?
That's awesome. I'm gonna think about that. What I love about this podcast, this one, is that it's very free form and a conversation that then becomes beneficial or useful to an audience. And so I really like that I like the free form, and I like that you have a structure. Each episode is 15 minutes. You've got great music, and
thank you.
I was talking to Marcela. I was like, we should have like a jingle or a tune, or I don't know, something that's like
theme music.
Yeah. So I really like how you do all of those things.
Thank you. And it has evolved. We started out just kind of a ragtag team of people wanting to do something creative in a podcast form. Luckily, we had a professional sound engineer who helped us for the first few months, and we have just grown to get more professionalized over time. Now we have a professional sound engineer kind of on our steering committee.
Awesome. And it's still all volunteer run, right?
It is all volunteer run right now. We have established our own, we've become an independent project. We're no longer part of the Climate Reality project. We've become our own fiscally sponsored project with the Praxis group. It's another group that sponsors new organizations.
Oh, cool.
So now we're eligible for funding. So that's where we're focusing in the future.
So people can donate.
Yes, people can donate. People can sponsor. We're starting to look for corporate sponsors.
Very cool.
Preferably local companies that have a climate angle to them. We just launched our website, independent of Climate Reality, our own website called everydayclimatechampions.org.
Fantastic.
Yes, thank you. That was very exciting and motivating. So now that we're kind of our own little thing, our own initiative, we're able to move forward and become, grow and hopefully scale, and then spawn and or collaborate with other groups around the country who want to do this.
Yes.
We're able to train them because we've done it.
Yeah.
We can show them how to do it. There are a few other ones that we know of that are out there, and then we have lots of student initiatives, student journalist programs that may already be doing something along these lines, and kind of along what we were talking about in terms of collaboration. It's all hands on deck, right? We should all be working together. We should all kind of know what we're doing and be able to share information.
Yeah. Well, I'm noodling on this whole kind of ecosystem network.
It is exactly.
Concept.
It's an ecosystem. Yeah.
And how to tease out where everyone is doing stuff and who's doing stuff, and are you open to collaboration? And I think almost everybody is,
yes.
except for some initiatives that just require so much funding that they have to make giant promises and raise all the venture capital money, and but that's like I think a small fraction. I think people are hungry for that.
Yeah.
For that ecosystem, and just having a sense of like, oh, you got to go to Sweden for that. They're really focusing on that, and if you want to learn about be on the bleeding edge of that, or
right,
incinerating waste, is like Singapore is like leading the charge on that because they're so space constrained.
Yeah. I mean, well, other countries definitely are ahead of us in some areas, but I don't think they're competitive. They want to share their innovations. You know, we're ready to do that. There's a great organization in Europe called We Don't Have Time. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Yeah. They are based in Scandinavia, I believe, but they're throughout Europe, and you can connect with them, globally. I would recommend that one. Project Drawdown, as you mentioned, is another one to really connect with. And then the UN Environment Program, etc., are good, for that high level. But I would say that when I was doing my crash course, as we were doing in 20 and 21, I was learning a lot from those. But then I realized that the real work is on the ground in a local way. Everyone, how can the average everyday person become involved? It's probably going to be on a local level. From their homes to their workplaces to their places of worship to, their neighborhoods, wherever.
Yeah.
So much of that global vision can be funneled down to the local level, the grassroots level. And that's what really inspired me and made me interested in kind of doing this. I love, I love research. I love heady stuff. I love reading about all these things. But when the rubber meets the road, it's really about what is happening on a personal and collective level and on a community level locally. And locally is, then it connects to all these other localities, right? And then it gets larger and larger. So that's where I connected as like, okay, let's really think about how our local people are involved already. How can they inspire and educate other people to be part of either what they're doing or something along those lines? Just realizing that, hey, as you said earlier, anyone can be a climate person or involved in climate action. It's really true. And just that fact alone is enough to kind of get the fire started. Just move in that starting place. Once people realize that, then they're kind of off to the races. They can find their niche in the climate movement.
I'm taking a course right now. I'm a fellow of Terra Do.
Yes, that's a great organization.
I'm really pleased. It's a great course. I'm in week 3. And something that I really appreciate there is their whole thing is about everybody needs to get into climate, and a lot of people didn't start there. So if you are looking to pivot into climate, it's an incredible resource. It's an incredible education. It's an amazing network. They're using technology really well to keep everyone connected, and it's global. So I've been having conversations. I had a conversation with a woman in Nigeria, a woman in London, a gentleman in India, a bunch of people from the Bay Area, a bunch of people from New York. But it's a very global network. So the time zones are crazy. I'm having things are at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and they're trying to make it, as accessible for as many time zones as possible. So I appreciate that, and I just sign on at 7 in the morning when I need to.
Yeah.
And then there's Work on Climate, which is another
that's a great
good network and resource.
Yep. And then there are several climate-focused networks in the journalism space. For example, there's one called Covering Climate Now.
Okay.
Covering Climate Now just launched a new campaign called 89% Project.
Okay.
What is the 89%? 89% is many recent studies have shown that 80 to 89% of people around the world want to see more climate action by their governments.
Okay.
But people don't know that is true. They think they're alone, right? Or they think they're a minority. They're not.
Oh my gosh.
So the 89% Project is a global journalism initiative to bring that to the fore. To start looking at what are people doing around the world, and how are they realizing that they're not alone.
We hosted a Women in Climate Unleashing Their Superpowers during Climate Week this week. I was on April 24th.
Okay.
We did a brunch and with the USGBC, US Green Building Council, and Women in Green and SOSV, IndieBio. We had some amazing co-hosts, and we did it here upstairs in the event hall.
Sounds great.
It was so cool. But one person came up to me afterwards. I got to do a fireside chat with Erin Cook. Do you know her?
No.
She's the sustainability director at SFO.
Okay.
And total badass. She's working on they've banned plastic bottles, and they're ahead of all the policy. They're the most sustainably run airport in the world.
Yeah.
And they have an ambitious goal of zero emissions from the airport by 2030. So they've only got a few years to implement reusable dishware, and they're figuring out how to have the washing, the facilities with good air and light to wash all of those dishes. They have 80 concessionaires there, anyway, it's so cool. That's not what I was going to tell you, but that's just an aside. It was very exciting. A woman came up to me afterwards and she said, I have been feeling like I am on an island and I'm crazy. And now I recognize that this is a movement and I don't feel alone. And
that's so good.
It was so good.
Yes. And that is crucial, that recognition. I mean, people who are working in the field, we know that already. But most people don't know that. And they are not alone.
89.
They're part of a large majority.
Yeah.
In fact, another study that happened recently, there's a program at Yale University called the Yale Program on Climate Change Communication. I'm trying to get their name right. Yeah. Yale Program on Climate Change Communication. I know it's long. They do a survey every year of what they call climate in the American mind. So across the board. And they have been doing it, I think, 15 years. And every year, the proportion of people who are concerned or alarmed about the climate crisis goes up. So now it's at 57%. So people who are doubtful or skeptical or downplaying the climate crisis or deniers, they're like in the minority.
Great.
So now the tables are tipping, right?
They are.
Right? That number actually, they also do it locally. They do the survey locally. In the Bay Area, it was about 75%.
That makes sense.
75% know about it, and 70% are concerned enough that they want to take more action. So that's kind of where we come in.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they just don't know. The problem is that a lot of people don't know that they're part of the majority, and they don't know what to do.
Yeah. So what would you tell someone that is like, I get it, this is a disaster and it's a crisis, and what do I do? What would you...
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is to actually go back to what you were talking about, I forgot that Japanese word for the...
Ikigai?
Ikigai, right. Go back to that. Think about, what are you good at? What do you like to do? What do you think needs to be done in the climate space? And what can you eventually get paid for? Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Venn diagram of, you want to be in that sweet spot with all of that stuff happening, right? So it takes some self-reflection to think about that stuff. Like, what means the most to you as a person? What do you bring to the table, right? And once you know that, that's actually what I did at the beginning in 2020 when I was starting to do this. And I knew, so think about, what do you bring to the table? What skills, resources, and, other valuable things contacts, anyone, your community. What are you bringing to the table? And then the next step is to reach out, see what is being done, right? One way to do that is just check in with the people you know. One way that I did it was with LinkedIn. I just looked at everyone on LinkedIn that I knew or that I was connected to, and connect with them. Find out what they're doing. Yep. I found the Climate Reality Project and I connected with them. There are lots of other organizations, big and small, that you can just connect with. You don't have to necessarily be with them forever, but they can be your portal to kind of get you in there, just to find a spot. And then, if you can develop your niche that way, awesome. If you find out about something else, you can go over there, but just start. Do something that will connect your work and your kind of skills to something that's already being done. That's one way. If you're, I'm kind of the entrepreneurial person, so I wanted to start my own thing. So that's what
that speaks to me.
Yeah, right. So you're like, okay, most people, that's however your personality is, that's cool. Like if you want to connect with something that's already being done, awesome. If you want to kind of start your own thing, then that can be done too. All you have to do is figure out what niche you can play and start there. So in my case, I connected with a Climate Reality Project. I found the communications team, and I noticed that they didn't have any podcasting going on. And I was like, I want to do that. So they said, yes, please, welcome.
Had you podcasted before?
Oh, yeah. I had some audio journalism in my background. I'd done print and audio. But I'd never done it at this scale, and I definitely had never done it on climate issues. So it was new for me too. And that's part of it. You have to kind of get outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
To try new things, meet lots of new people, and find a way that you can contribute in the biggest, strongest way to the climate movement.
Yeah. I love that. That's really inspiring. When we first started this, I had never been in this seat. I've, been interviewed plenty, but I had never been the interviewer.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I would be any good at it or if I would like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really appreciate that Marcela was like, we could just start with a few. Maybe we do like a 3-part series and then you can see, it doesn't have to be like, I am now a podcaster. Like I didn't know, and you start with 0 viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
So you start somewhere.
Right. You gotta start somewhere.
And I love it. And I am told that I am great at it. So that's been really cool because I just this is some of the most alive I ever feel is talking to people that are making a difference. And it's just gets my, what's the bottom of your brain? The amygdala?
Yeah.
It gets it vibrating almost to just be like, this feels like what I am meant to do in the world.
Wow. Yes. That's good. So that that you're close.
Yeah.
You're going in the right direction, right? You're in the place where you need to be.
Is there anything that you want to share or amplify or surface that I didn't ask you about yet?
Probably. Let me check my notes. All right. Well, the first thing I would say is that the Everyday Climate Champions podcast is a podcast right now, but it's actually part of a larger plan.
Tell me.
So we're starting with a podcast, but it is starting already to lead to other things.
Okay.
So we're very interested in seeding and facilitating community conversations around these topics. So it's not just, I'm going to listen to a podcast and I'm done, right? It's more like, I'm going to listen to this podcast and then what am I going to do, right? So that's part of why we, in the podcast, we always offer lots of resources for our listeners to move to the next step.
Yeah.
Right. So guidance and resources are really important. The podcasts themselves are examples of what can be done and what is being done.
Yeah.
But moving into, okay, as a listener, what resources and guidance can we provide, and then what do we do? So the Detroit Bay Area episode that we referenced, that was actually the first episode that we then had a community engagement event as a follow-up.
Oh, cool.
So we actually had a conversation online with folks from both of those organizations about their work. And we produced what we call a Take Action Guide, which was a compilation of resources for our listeners to then take action, either with, contact those organizations that were on the podcast or move forward in that topic area. So community events is kind of our next frontier.
Oh, that's awesome.
To move from the podcast.
I would love to host you here.
We would love that, Rebecca. That would be an amazing kind of collaboration to move into that. So that's one thing about the podcast. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that the podcast is very much about climate justice. So it's not just about climate topics, which are, very important, like air and water, waste, building electrification, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. We have 10 categories that we cover on our website. You can filter for the episodes on those 10 categories. But underlying all of that is really who is getting most affected, and are we hearing their voices? And the answer to that is not. Traditionally, we haven't been hearing those voices. So part of what Everyday Climate Champions is about is to focus on those communities, historically marginalized communities, or sometimes called frontline communities. In the climate space, we all often refer to them as frontline communities because they're at the front lines of climate change or in the climate crisis. So how can we amplify those voices within on our platform? So if you go through the 23 episodes so far of Everyday Climate Champions, you'll see that we prioritize the voices of folks from marginalized communities that have traditionally not been heard.
That is so terrific.
So that's, as we move forward, we want to do more and more of that. And part of that goes back to what we were talking about before, that Everyday Climate Champions has been all volunteer thus far. And it's very true that there are large swaths of communities that cannot volunteer. They just simply don't have time to do work that is unpaid, right?
Yep.
That's a very middle class thing, middle and upper class thing, but not so much a working class thing or a low income community thing. So that's part of why we need to start being able to offer compensation to our team members. So that was a big reason that we wanted to move into our own initiative, our own independent initiative, so we can start fundraising to support our team members.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is, as you draw people onto your team from different communities, they are representing their communities, and they know people already in those communities who would love to be on the show, right? So that's really moving to cultivate a community around the show from different points of view and different experiences.
Awesome.
So that's really a crucial part of where we're going.
Have you been following what's happening in Memphis?
No. What?
I was just turned on to this. That Musk is building a facility there that it's already a center for asthma and cancer.
Yes, I have read about that, and there's a lot of community opposition to that, and community activism going on around that specific plant or whatever it is that he's got going there. Yeah. So that would be an example of if folks in the Memphis area want to amplify the voices of their local folks, that would be great to have an Everyday Climate Champions team there. Yeah. Right? That could cover that, and then we could cross-pollinate. We'd be happy to talk about or, interview them or, get their guests and whatnot, so we could become a network.
Yeah. I love it. I'm really interested to see where we both go. And I have a feeling that it will be a collaborative journey. I guess we'll see.
I hope so. And it should be, right?
Yeah. Plus, it's more fun.
That's the thing. Yeah. That kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, that I kind of did some soul searching and the crash course and all that at the beginning. And part of it was I made a list of what am I looking for in my climate career, right? And one of them was I want it to be collaborative. I don't want to work by myself. I want to work with others. And I want it to be fun, right? So that that was part of where I was coming from. And that's why I didn't just start my own podcast out of nowhere, right? I wanted to do it as part of a team.
I love that. I have a philosophy. I want to do the most good while having the best time.
I like that. Yeah, totally. That sounds right.
So, was there one more thing that you wanted to
I think there was,
surface?
But I forgot what it is now. On our website, one of the parts of the website that we started but we're building out. Remember I mentioned that we always offer resources for our listeners on the different topics. We started a section on the website called Take Action. And that is going to be built out with all kinds of resources, not only that we know about, that we can provide, but resources that we know about, right? So it's lots of other organizations. They have amazing libraries, right, of ways to take action, not just libraries of like knowledge, a knowledge base, you got to have that. But the next step is, now what do you do with the knowledge, right? How do you take action? So that's a big part of the website that we're building out. We're always adding new resources to that.
Oh, cool.
So that is, we want to become a resource for the community. And I mean, as we've seen, it becomes a global community as well.
Yeah. You said you have listeners in 40 countries?
42 countries.
42 countries. That's so cool. So how do people find you? What are the, and we'll put them in the notes as well.
Yeah.
Website, LinkedIn. How do you, like, if somebody wanted to be on the show or connect with you for whatever reason?
Yeah, we love connecting with people, as I kind of kept harping on collaboration, but yeah, that's a big thing, right? So we love to hear back from our listeners. We have a listener feedback survey that we're very focused on. The easiest way is to go to our website, everydayclimatechampions.org. Pretty easy. We're also on all podcast platforms, so just look for the Everyday Climate Champions podcast wherever you are. Apple, Spotify, etc.
Terrific.
And once you visit our website, you'll see all kinds of ways to contact us. If you want to be on the show, if you want to tell us about what you thought of the show, if you have a recommendation, if you'd like to maybe be part of our team, etc.
Awesome. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn at Rebecca Bryan Pan. You can find Trellis on our socials. We are at Trellis Workspace, and trellis.social is our website. And I want to thank Dalya Massachi for being on the podcast. That was an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
I want to thank Marcela Avramescu, my producer and co-collaborator. And I want to thank Trellis for this podcast studio that is rentable by you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.